Eight,
Up behind us.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey everybody, welcome to the MGF Podcast. This is episode 29 of the show with a temporary name where we talk movies, shows, games, Lego, and whatever else. Joining me as always is Tait.
What is up? What is up? What is up, my
Man,
Lego frogs?
Tait, where did that week go, dude? I feel like we were just recording yesterday.
Yeah, dude, we've both been so busy.
Like, what happened? So what's it like in California today, Tait? It is dark and cold and rainy and awful here in the Carolinas.
It's kind of cool. It's still nice though. I mean, it's getting warmer. Right now, I
Yeah.
think it's like 80 outside.
It's getting warmer. We're heading for winter.
Well,
California
California.
doesn't.
Yeah, see, it rains in December if we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we just, you know.
Oh man. Sorry, excuse
Timothy
me.
Timothy
I'm just dying.
Sargent hit me up in the DMs earlier this week.
Oh man.
Isn't that cool? So Tim, thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah.
Simon,
What's up?
Aiden, Lego Pete 3, JJ the gamer. Thanks for coming out.
Sir.
We got the five big guys pulling up as soon as it starts. We do appreciate that though. I mean, let me tell you before we get started, it's really nice to see people that just hop into the podcast the second it starts. I mean, that's a cool feeling.
Yeah, man.
Isn't that
Thanks
interesting?
for joining in, guys.
That's cool. That's cool. Anyway.
Yeah. So, Tait, this
MGF.
past week, got some cool packages. You know, with Amazon Prime, you're always getting packages, but sometimes you get a couple custom printed figures from Phoenix Customs. Check these out. I just wanted to show these really quick before I start talking about Endgame updates. This is Phoenix's Jane Foster and his Spider-Gwen figures. And these two figures, well, for one, he worked on the Jane Foster for like 2 years on and off. It basically became a passion project of his. I never pre-ordered back in like 2017 or whenever when it came up, or the beginning of 2018. I honestly totally don't know. But he had some extra ones. I got one, and it's incredible. And I think I'll be doing a review on it. It's all fully pad printed like usual with him, and he's got these incredible ABS accessories in the form of a helmet that connects to this hairpiece, and it's pretty great. And then he actually had some leftover printed Spider-Gwen figures from I think a couple years back as well that he randomly restocked with. And so that'll definitely add to my Spider-Verse display that hopefully you guys will see when I eventually do a room tour, because it turns out reinstalling that fan in the ceiling has been a bit more challenging than we cared to admit originally. But yeah, so as far as Endgame stuff goes, Tait, I was just working on Ronin this morning, but obviously for Joker, I did take a brief detour this past week to finish that figure up, do that video, and celebrate the release of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker film. And I'm pretty happy with the way that showcase came out. Did it pretty quick. But yeah, it worked out really well. And that film I did wind up seeing again. I saw Joker again like the day before yesterday, picked up on a few more things this time, got a better grasp of the structure of the film, and it was just incredible. I mean, what an incredible film, Tate. We'll talk about it in a minute, but like, dude, I could not believe how I was able to make that figure quicker than I was expecting, because it is simple, but at the same time, I couldn't believe how long it actually took, because I thought I was going to be able to have it done in time for release. And then I started adding more detail. I started adding more detail around the wrists and all those crazy things that wound up taking longer than expected. But anyway, yeah. So apparently, dude, there's this feature now on Patreon. This is totally random and just kind of me changing the subject, but there's this new feature on Patreon, or it's actually not, it's actually the lack of a feature. When you go on Patreon and you add a new tier, and I found this out the hard way because as I was working on the Joker showcase, I was like, okay, the $5 thing on my Patreon for like the last year has been kind of ridiculous and really steep, and I just never really paid attention. I just kind of left it there as the price, never really changed it. And then for this Joker showcase, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to change it and drop it down to like $3 to see everything that I've got going on over there. A lot of really cool, fun, exclusive stuff, like seeing all the new figures early and whatever other extra content that I post, like exclusive vlogs or the roadmap, or like those intros you saw in the Endgame showcase, or just other updates that I'm doing to figures like Valkyrie with the horse, the Pegasus rather, different things like that. And it's just been a really fun time over there on Patreon, having like a personal dialogue with everybody that joins in, because I respond to literally everything that's posted there. However, this past week, I tried to implement a couple new tiers, one for $2, one for $3. And apparently you can't change permissions on Patreon, like in mass. There's no mass editing tool. So if you have a certain set cost on your Patreon page and you try to drop the price like I am here and implement a new tier that has everything for a lower cost, you have to go through every single post you've made in the past and individually change and check and recheck the boxes to include that new tier, regardless of whatever the price it is. And so I'm like, oh my God. So I've begun the long process of going through and changing that. And it's like, dude, I love Patreon. The people that work there and on the platform are great and very creator friendly, but it's like, oh my God, how could you not have that? It makes me really curious for other major content creators out there and big figures that kind of rely on Patreon to fund their businesses, right? Like what do those people do when they want to change tiers around? I guess like everybody on Patreon, if they don't go through and have somebody change those permissions for them, they just lose access to everything that came before. If you want to adjust the price, it's crazy. But yeah, and then it's gonna be great though. Once I get through that whole process, and it'll be more accessible. So I'm looking forward to it. Starting up a bit of a new chapter over there, and it's just like a really fun place to include extra content and things like that. But yeah, man.
Well, MGF, that's pretty cool. Patreon kind of, it's such an important thing, I think, in the new age of YouTube with demonetization and all that. So it's unfortunately a lot of people's only choice, and I really think that if they do add the features that you want, taking off boxes to what people have access to and stuff like that. I mean, making it more user friendly will just be better for the entirety of YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and not even just YouTube. I mean, you have big people on there, Philip, like for instance, like big name YouTubers like Philip DeFranco, or even other guys like Jordan Peterson, or guys like that. Actually, either are or were at some point funding their whole business through the platform. And
That's
so it's
insane.
Like, it's just shocking to me that such a great platform for content creators. Basically the refuge, the safe haven away from YouTube's demonetization campaigns, just doesn't have a feature to let you like change things up. I was like, whoa. So basically anybody out there who's going to start a Patreon page, man, you better have your prices decided for the long haul, because whoa. A little bit challenging to change that around, but it's going to be fun either way. I'm going to be slowly going through all the posts and making sure that everybody who's going to be joining in the future will have access to everything that was been posted in the past. But yeah, so otherwise, man, just to throw in some Endgame updates on this rainy Sunday, I have been working on Ronin now that I finished up the Joker and got that showcase out the door. Now that I finished that whole Joker detour, Ronin has been going really well. I have gotten most of the fabric and other different 3D elements down. Got the waist cape all down. Haven't applied any paint quite yet. I started to modify the hood a little bit. I'm going to begin carving that and making it minifigure friendly to the, paint the minifigure heads that I'm going to have for the character, the custom figure. And I was just working on the shoulder pauldrons today, and it's going well. And I think that painting the details shouldn't be too challenging, so it shouldn't be too time consuming to paint him, because it's really just all black and then gold, silver, and gray details running throughout. Once you get all the major elements down, like I'm doing now, like the 3D elements, the gauntlet, the sword, and the sheath for the sword and the bow. And once you get all those things down, all the more challenging parts, the painting process really isn't going to be too taxing. It'll still be a little challenging, of course, like always. But I mean, I think making Ronin should be easier. It's just painting the faces and getting Jeremy Renner's likeness. That'll be time consuming. That'll take at least a couple days. But we'll see. So it's going well. And of course, the progress will be up over on the Patreon page first before the previews make it over to Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as in all those places as always. But Yeah, Ross, are you planning to do any figures from Into the Spider-Verse? No, I am not. As much as I would absolutely love to, that I feel like that ship kind of sailed. As much as I love the movie, it's my favorite Spider-Man film of all time. Instead, I just kind of settled for a nice little Spider-Verse display in my room here, which you'll see in the eventual room tour video that I'm hoping to do this fall, but we'll see. So, yeah, man. Other than that, apparently, Tate, Rise of Skywalker tickets may be going on sale tomorrow night. Apparently, it's seeming more and more possible, as John Boyega's manager a few days back posted I think said that on their Instagram via a post, and then now you've got John Boyega himself. I believe it was today posting a John Boyega today posting. Sorry for the cutoff there. Posting a like picture of Rey and Finn and Poe going up at some point, like implying the tickets are going up at some point tomorrow morning, or I'm sorry, tomorrow night. So we'll see. It'll apparently be during Monday Night Football, and that's the whole idea. Just like Force Awakens.
Yeah! Football!
Yeah. Tate, I don't know about you, man, but I'm getting tired of the JJ Mystery Box campaign. I mean, the marketing is so repetitive that I literally saw somebody on Twitter today just post like a quoted tweet from the Force Awakens 2015 marketing that just said the same thing, like tickets going up on sale, or whatever on Monday Night Football, and just got everybody excited because it literally looks like it could be a tweet promoting the Rise of Skywalker. That is just how repetitive the JJ Mystery Box marketing campaign has been for the sequel trilogy.
Perfect.
It is literally
I
just
love
do the
repetitive marketing. I love just shoving shit.
What? Are you okay?
That was an avalanche. I love just shoveling shit into my viewers' mouths just because I know I'm going to sell the product. That's
Dude, I can't get over how crazy that is. And my buddy Corey here did just tell me that apparently they're backtracking on that, and it might be on the 21st instead. And apparently that it is going to be on the 21st. I don't know who they are, but Corey just told me that they're backtracking. So if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it sounds like it's definitely going to be the 21st. So just be watching and just be ready to buy tickets. I know I will be in Kansas City at the time. So it's going to be a pretty haphazard process trying to get tickets both there and then here in case, God forbid, something doesn't work out, flight gets canceled or whatever might happen around that time. You never know. But yeah, man, I'm also not going to lose sleep over anything if I don't get tickets for opening night screenings because yeah, we've talked about the sequel trilogy at length. I don't like to be those people that just constantly harangue on it, but our excitement isn't totally there. So yeah, man.
Cool. Epic.
Dude, what is going on? Are you like?
No, so something big fell off my desk, and and I picked it up, and I was zipping up my headphone case.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude. Well, I'm glad you survived.
Yes. Yep.
So one last thing that I wanted to bring up before we kind of talk about Joker more today is I got started on this whole little Hall of Armor project randomly. So obviously we got the Hall of Armor set back in like March, I want to say. Yeah, it was early March. And now I plan on finally going through with what I had set out to do when that set first came out and actually construct a full Hall of Armor in the sense that, getting multiples of the same set. And today I'm finally going to go out and buy like 3 more of them and take a nice hit to the wallet and get a Hall of Armor going, because I also got a package in like 2 days ago that has pretty much the majority of the Hall of Armor in knockoff bootleg form, because you can literally go on AliExpress, pull up the stores that sell them, and get the whole like 90% of the Iron Legion for like $30 in total. It's craziness.
Can you get Disco Iron Man?
I already had a ton of the already, and now
Iron
I'll be fully assembling them all, and it should be pretty great. And that should be a video that'll be going up on the channel, I'm hoping, in a couple weeks.
Disco Iron Man, Ross?
What?
Isn't that what it's called? Disco Iron Man? Isn't it the big thing that everybody's making fun of for like years?
Yeah, disco. Yeah, that is one of the. Yep.
Woohoo!
Yep. Oh man. So, Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. At first, I was thinking like maybe I should do a stream of me unboxing or unpacking all those knockoff Iron Legion figures, but I was like, no, I'm good. I'm just gonna do one big kick-ass video once I got the whole thing assembled. But Tate, what's actually kind of a pain about it is Lego never made the Mark III, or I'm sorry, the Mark IV, or the I think it was just the Mark IV. Yeah, but they missed out on a few of the early Phase One Iron. So it's a bit of a challenge, but as you can see in that picture, I came in a little bubble mailer, so it should be great once I get that whole thing assembled and built, and should make for a pretty sick video that I've been always wanting to do. Finally having a proper Hall of Armor, a proper wine cellar display. I mean, I had a custom Hall of Armor many years ago, back in 2013, that had lights and everything, but that was just the Iron Man 3 like Malibu Mansion top floor that didn't actually have all 40 suits, just the main 7. That was cool, man. But I think will be better overall, because I'll have all 42 suits from pre MCU Phase 3. But MGF, did you buy the Disco Iron Man Marvel Legends figure? Yes, I did. I got it in that War Machine Disco 2-pack from 2016. I do actually have that thing up on my wall. Where's the Justice League showcase? You know what, Lego P3? It's been a couple of years. It's not happening. That movie was incredibly disappointing. Are you gonna use?
Guys, Justice League Showcase is coming out next month. I'm confirming right now.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm canceling the whole Endgame project, and I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna go through Justice League figures.
Play-Doh Steppenwolf.
Oh no! What happened to Play-Doh Thanos?
Sorry.
It's over.
Sorry. You
Not
lost
happening.
your chance.
Ross, why don't you showcase figures you didn't complete and tell us what you wanted to do with it? I mean, that's not an idea I'm necessarily opposed to, but I'm not gonna lie, it never really occurred to me to basically have funerals for figures that I never finish. That's basically what I feel like that would be. Um, I could do that though. I mean, I don't think that's ever gonna happen again, where I commit to a big project and then don't finish it, because I'm a lot more selective and picky now, in case you haven't noticed. Um, but that's something I could do in the future. Maybe when there's like I don't know, an event, a Justice League event or something that makes it semi relevant again. We'll see, but it's a good idea, Lego Tube. I appreciate it, man. Tate, I saw the Joker a second time again. Saw it again for the second time. There you go. That makes more sense. And dude, it was great. It was kind of crazy getting there to the theater because, of course, my dumbass and Corey and I, we had to try to go to GameStop just before, like at the local mall here, and then get all the way across town, flying down highways at night during rush hour traffic to make it to the theater before the showing at like 7:45, 8 o'clock. It was craziness, but we just barely made it and got in there, got to see the Joker a second time, the film, and pretty much the same film, obviously. But man, two things I want to talk about, and I guess I'll try to avoid spoilers. But obviously, and I will avoid spoilers. I know some of you guys in the chat here haven't seen it. The biggest thing that was kind of crazy for me is the whole movie is obviously told from Arthur Fleck's perspective. And this time, after having seen the film the first, already, I had a bit of a perspective shift. So I'm watching the film and taking all the facts in instead of being just as emotional as Arthur is and kind of vibing with him and the story that is surrounding him. I kind of, because the movie is totally open to your interpretation about, a lot of the different events that play out and what you can take away from those situations. I took a different perspective and just kind of absorbed the movie more objectively instead of emotionally with Arthur. And oh my God, Tate, it's like a whole second experience that I wasn't even trying to have. It just happened. And it was crazy.
So
you can kind of infer what I'm talking about. Critical moments in the movie where you can take one side of and
so you can look at the movie almost like a police report. And I think that's kind of what you're getting at here. Because this is a thought I had when I saw it the second time. I thought
Oh, you already saw it the second time?
I've seen it 3 times.
Oh, nice, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I watched it. I watched it back to back one night because it was my day off. I had the day off the next morning, so I was like,
Nice.
screw it. I
You
sat in
just
the
went in
theater.
twice.
Sat in the theater, and then you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You don't do what I did, but I just kind of stayed sitting in the theater once the credits roll. So,
So what, the next showing just started up?
um,
Did nobody come in to clean?
no, people came in to clean.
They didn't kick you out?
They didn't care at all. I mean, I just wanted to see because, like, of course, if somebody said, "Oh, hey, you have to buy a ticket," I would have done that. But the movie theater was dead, so it's like, oh, fuck it.
What is with this theater near you? What is going on? It's like a
Oh, I
ghost
don't
town.
know. I don't know.
Oh man.
But anyway, no. You can watch the movie, you know, from Arthur's perspective, feel sympathetic towards them. Really, you know, it's a disgusting movie, but it feels like you're disgusted with everybody else. But then on the second viewing, you look at it like a police report, where you feel disgusted by his behavior, even more so than you did in the first part of the movie, right? Really, really nice perspective there.
I just couldn't believe how the varying experiences you can have watching the film, because I'm watching the film the second time and just kind of thinking like, oh man, maybe this character overreacted here. Maybe they're reading too far into this here, or maybe they shouldn't have done this here, or whatever. And it's like, what a film. What a film, man. And that's why I stopped to make that figure. That's why I took the quick detour. If there's one figure that I want to pump the brakes in the Endgame project for just a couple weeks to make, it was Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I did not want to miss this opportunity to celebrate such an incredible masterclass film, and I'm really happy that I was able to get the figure done reasonably on time. The showcase out a week later, even if I wanted it to come out with the movie, that wasn't really realistic because of some lifestyle changes happening recently. Buddy of mine moving in, different things like that have kept me otherwise occupied. But yeah, I'm really proud of the figure, man. I'm really proud of it. And yeah, so I mean, I guess just to get started with this full breakdown of the custom Joker figure that I got to work on the end of September. So like I want to say like September 20th, September 21st, one of those days. And this figure was crazy because at first I was like, oh, you know, you look at the Joker's costume and it's just the red suit, basic vest, you know, clown face design. You know, the hairpiece with Luke from The Last Jedi can already work really well as it does. But then there were some unexpected challenges along the way, just making this simple figure. Nothing I haven't done before, nothing I couldn't necessarily overcome, but it was just a slightly more surprising process than I was expecting. So before I even got started with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker figure and moved toward making the showcase, you know, at the very beginning, I was just picking up a head and taking inspiration from Dragon Brick's Joker figure, which I do show in the video. And so I was looking at that figure and I was like, you know, that is the perfect face design. And that is the one that I want to go with for mine. And I was honestly considering just ordering that figure and using the printed head and not even changing anything about it. I was just gonna, all right, just drop $50, whatever it is on Lab 9's site and just use it. But then I was like, you know, there's so much more I could do if I just paint it myself. And so I got to work on doing that. And basically I had to try to paint as much of it as I could before applying the white. Because I always talk about white paint. And it's challenging to work with. It's thick oftentimes and not exactly cooperative. So I think I got the eyes and the mouth on with the red around it before I painted the white on, and I purposefully allowed the white to be more bumpy. Um and basically achieve the caked looking design so that the makeup would look kind of caked on. And I'll admit, I'm not exactly like I'm so used to smoothing over figures. And by the way, if you guys want to see the figure again, the showcase is up on the channel, and I've got some really good shots of it over on Flickr, Instagram, and all those places. It's like a really good shot with the Joker like in front of like a green background. It looks pretty good. But yeah, once I got the white on there, I was like, man, it's kind of bumpy, but this should work. And I think it did. I was pretty satisfied with it ultimately. And I got the clown makeup on there, the blues and all those things. Um, and then once that was done, I was able to finally kind of move on with the wrinkles, which I did the next day because painting the Arthur face or the Joker face here a couple days on and off. And so then after that point, it was basically just deciding, okay, now I need to come up with a green color. And I did that, found a green color that I liked that I think matched Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. However, I was also considering adding a wash to the hair. I ultimately decided against it. I didn't think it needed it. I still don't. And I left it as just the solid color. And yeah, so then at that point, I had to kind of decide what color red to go with for the suit. And Tate, you were originally a part of this dialogue, and you know we kind of had a little bit of back about what color the suit should be. And in the movie, it is kind of bright red, and there are maybe some pink hues in there. Not really though; they certainly weren't that evident in the actual film. But I did kind of try to um, achieve a sort of hybrid color that has a pink tone to it, and it didn't work. So what I decided to do was just finally like, okay, I'll just take a red color, just like basic red apple, and just use that because I knew that that was the vibrance that I was looking for. Because anytime that I tried to implement any sort of a pink hue to the suit, it would just wind up looking too bright, like a bright pink, and it would remove the vibrance.
Yeah, so
And
I wanted to say
yeah,
as well. So I was the one thinking that the pink purple idea, and you know, I was kind of curious as to why no other customizer had done that. You know, really tried to pull those more blue tones into it. And then as soon as Ross started describing it to me, that sounds like a chore and a half, dude. That sounds
yeah.
like a chore. That sounds
And I did
horrible.
try. I tried it at least 3 times, trying to achieve a red color that also had some pink to it,
Yeah,
but every time the pink would always overtake the red, and
right.
it would no longer be a vibrant red. And, so I was like, "Yeah, you know what? No, normal red is going to have to work here." And instead what I did was just kinda some very subtle details. It ultimately got a little kind of painted over with all the detail I wound up adding to the front of the jacket, but you can kinda see them present, like a couple little, like, sort of pinkish streaks on the front next to the buttons on, both sides of the jacket on the front. And, yeah,
Let
but
me
it
say,
worked
dude.
out.
Let me say. I mean, you making the choice to use a 3D jacket was a great choice in my opinion because nobody else has done that, at least not that I've seen, you know,
Mm.
on Instagram. So I think that really helps it stand out, man. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean that wasn't always the plan either, right? I mean, I certainly considered, okay, you know what, that his suit does kind of come wrap over, you know, it's a suit, right? So it's pretty tight over him. He you don't have a lot of his torso exposed. So there's a little bit more of his vest exposed on my figure than there is in the film, but I was okay with that because I wanted those 3D elements. I wanted to have the separate jacket piece, and the jacket originally started out as a Cape Madness AR jacket, as always. However, what I did this time, similar to kind of what I did with Stan Lee's jacket when I made that figure following his passing, was I trimmed up the front to look like a suit as precisely as I could. And I also, this is kind of funny. I think I mentioned this in the showcase. It was pretty great. I was sitting there wondering, okay, I got the vest on here, and the vest was very hard to do. Like, surprisingly enough, the vest is made up of 2 separate 3D pieces, and getting those pieces precisely cut and trimmed exactly how I wanted them to, you know, to be and to precisely fall over the torso in exactly the way I needed them to, is to keep them as accurate as possible. Then I had a lot of problems with the orange paint and the orange neon paint that I used for the vest not being thick enough and just kind of being too watery. It took several layers before I got the solid orange that you see there. I was looking at the jacket and I was like, "Oh man, I just put all this work into this orange vest that looks really good, but I'm going to have to do something similar to what I did in 2016 with my Suicide Squad Joker and Harley Quinn, and put something inside the jacket so that the fabric, rough textured surface does not tear away what I had done. So what I did was this time, because I didn't, because so in 2016 when I was presented with the same problem of, okay, I have this 3D jacket on, it might tear away what I've painted, or damage it, or leave a texture, or whatever. I was like, I don't want to insert pieces of clear plastic like I did in 2016. So for Suicide Squad with Harley Quinn and the Joker back then, I literally took action figure plastic, cut pieces out, and then glued them to the insides of the jacket, and they're still in there. And it worked, right? It protects the torso from those rough surfaces that I talked about. But I didn't want something so thick in Arthur's jacket here. So I'm sitting there, and there's this wrapper next to me from a breakfast biscuit earlier in the day. And I literally just took some scissors to that and started cutting pieces out of it and then glued it. And it worked so well.
Breakfast biscuit.
Yeah, man. You got it.
The breakfast biscuit.
Dude, Bell Vita breakfast biscuit. This is not a sponsorship or anything. It was just right there, convenient. I was like, it could have been any wrapper, but it was that. And I cut some pieces out.
Not gonna lie.
And it was great. It was really good, man. So yeah, but then once that was done, I also had to, of course, paint the undershirt. And the undershirt was something I wasn't really expecting would be as challenging as it was going in, because I knew it was. I knew there were patterns that I'd have to paint on here and there. But I made the decision around the top of the torso to try to cram in as many of those details as I could. And so basically Arthur's undershirt, when he goes full Joker, he's got like this almost turquoise green undershirt that's got these circular patterns all over it, whether it's like thin lined ringed big ring circles, or solid circles, or smaller circles that are all connected with each other. It's a very interesting pattern. And so I tried to get that painted organically on the top of the torso, while also getting some of the black features painted on there as well from the actual like flaps and different things from the shirt. And then once that was done, I also had to do the exact same thing but to the wrist. And so by this point, what happened, Tate, was I basically realized that the mint green paint that I was using for the upper torso and for the wrists was not durable. So it's the type of paint that needs a little bit more time to dry, like a day or so before it's fully solid and cured on there. Because as you're working with it, it was coming off, and it was a little bit of an added challenge painting those designs on the front of the torso and around the wrists. And so that added time to it, having to constantly repaint certain things. And I also had to seal over the sides of the arms that face the jacket, because obviously you've got a multi-layered pattern painted around these wrists that are going to be passing over the jacket constantly. And so I applied sealant. Thankfully, it's enough, and it's been holding up. And I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Late in the game, I added that detail that you see on the front of the jacket. If you look at the original reviews of my Joker figure before the film came out, it was a lot more simple. So I decided to add some more rivets kind of around the front areas of the jacket, and some buttons and pockets of that sort. And I think they turned really well and add a lot of detail to the figure. And I also have some minimal detail on the back of the jacket, just some basic like 3 black wrinkles. And Tate, originally what I was going to do with all the wrinkles all over the figure, you can kind of see on the arms, the wrinkles there, kind of like in the creases of the fabric where his elbows are. That's inspired by Brickophilia. He does that a lot in his figures. I was going to do the dark red for all the black you see on this figure. So all the outlines, the buttons, the lines going up the legs, I was going to do all dark red for all of that. But then it just didn't look defined enough. And I knew that it wouldn't. So before I even, and when I say it didn't look defined enough, it was more so I knew it would look defined enough as I thought about it more. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to do black for everything. That's exactly what I did for the whole figure, and I'm glad I did, because it just, like I said, it kind of creates a not just a definition for all those basic lines and wrinkles and things of that sort, but it creates this sort of sharpness to the figure that otherwise can't be achieved with a more subtle dark red for those designs running throughout this basic suit. So Yeah, and then when I got to the legs, I just painted the lines on, 2 straight lines. It is tedious, of course, but not as difficult as you would expect. And once I got those lines down, it was just the shoes that were a bit more challenging. And I thought that his shoes were very basic, that I was just gonna have to paint just straight brown with some rims. Nope, his shoes are a bit more complicated than that. Not crazy complicated, but it did require a little bit more work. And I didn't go crazy with the shoes. I didn't add like lacing or any sort of like sewing lines like I could have. I decided to keep it a bit more minimalist on the shoes. But what I did do was create a polish on the front, which was pretty evident on his shoes in the film, and I wanted to make sure I at least captured some of that here. So the front of the shoes actually have a bit of a polish to them before I did paint the dark brown rim around the bottom of each shoe, and of course those designs wrap around all four sides of the minifigure, and the whole minifigure is 100% painted, by the way, if you couldn't tell. I mean, the face and everything. There was not a single printed element on this figure. I mean, there was a royal guard torso underneath that I started with, that I still have to go on Bricklink to replace because now I've got a royal guard and a little baggie missing a torso, but it was worth it because look at the figure, it turned out great. Um, and then finally, what delayed the showcase by a couple more days was I was like, okay, I was going to do a little cigarette piece, and I was considering what I think Speedy Bricks, I believe, on Instagram was doing, and I was like, okay, I'll try to do the Harry Potter wand, right? Cut the ball joint off the back of that, and then use that to create a little Lego cigarette. But then I was like, but then the white bar piece might look better. I saw some people on Instagram doing that, and I was thinking I might take some inspiration from that, and then glue on a little bit of a trans orange piece, similar to kind of what I did with the Infinity Stones back in 2018, where you cut a little bit of a transparent piece off, and then glue that to another surface. And in this case, it would have been a little transparent orange piece to glue on to a little chunk of a white bar to create a cigarette. But I was like, you know what? Yeah, he does smoke a lot in the movie, but I felt like the gun that he uses in the movie is a bit more, integral to the character.
Also, if
So
I remember
yeah,
correctly, Arthur smokes, but Joker doesn't. If I remember correct. Oh no, wait, no, you have the scene where he's
yeah.
getting
No,
ready.
Arthur smokes
No,
a lot.
no. But what I was saying is, I thought in the
Oh,
Joker
okay.
makeup he'd never smoked, but then I remember the dressing sequence. He has a cigarette in his hand. Never mind.
Yeah, yeah. So
That would have been good
what I wound
symbolism, though,
up doing
man.
was I was like, you know what? I really want to do this video. The cigarette piece doesn't really matter to me, and he won't even be able to hold it naturally like a Lego minifigure would. So meaning you wouldn't want him to hold it like he's holding, say a lightsaber or any other staff or accessory like that. He's got to be kind of, like when you take a Lego minifigure, and you take a bar piece and then you insert it into the hand and then you pull it down, and the minifigure hand doesn't eject it right away. It does kind of hang there, and it is still kind of secured in place, but not really. And that's basically what the cigarette piece was going to have to do. And I was like, you know what? Eventually, that cigarette's going to pop off. I'm going to lose it, or what? I prefer to do just the pistol. So I skipped the cigarette. And then I was like, oh crap, but I don't have the pistol. I don't have the little 38 revolver in Lego. And I knew, okay, somebody had to have made one, right? Whether it's Brick Arms, Minifig Cat, Brick Warriors, whoever, somebody made that pistol. So I'm going through all the vendors. I'm on Brick Arms. I'm going through all. I just bumped the mic, sorry. And then I go on Brick Warriors, and there it is. The little 38 revolver. They've got it on there in gunmetal and black. So I ordered them in both colors, settled on the gunmetal color, and completed the figure when that arrived in the mail a day early, and got the showcase up, I believe, the next day. So it went pretty well, man. And it was a pretty quick showcase, not too difficult to film, very, very simple figure, despite everything that I've mentioned, but it was still a real joy to make. I wish I had time to do alternative faces, like, say, one similar to that of what we saw, toward the end of the film, or what have you, or maybe like when he's putting on the makeup originally for the first
Wonder
time,
how I got
and he's
these
just got the
scars?
white and no actual clown
Well,
designs. You can see that
I'm
in the
the
trailer,
Joker, baby.
but it's like I'm just happy with the figure as it is, and I don't think any additional accessories are necessary. I think the video turned out really good. Got some really great photos out of it, and I think everybody seemed to really enjoy it. So, yeah, Tate, I think that pretty much covers. I think everything with the process for making the Joker. I don't think I left anything out, man. Yeah,
Ross. Joker
yeah.
said the N word.
What?
Do you remember that Twitter video?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I
a
did
good
send you
one.
that meme. I saw that on Twitter. It was just a Joker account, and then it was like N-word, and I was like, oh. So I sent that to Tate after the movie.
I thought I sent it to you. You sent it to me?
I
Who
sent
sent
it
it
to
to
you.
me?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was good. That was funny.
it was good, man. So if you're old enough and you have not seen the Joker, I highly recommend you go check it out or catch it on digital or Blu-ray when it comes out in December. Um, but yeah. So otherwise, Tate,
I
I
have
think that
some.
about does it.
I have some stories. We're not cutting
You
the
have some stories.
podcast.
Okay,
All
that
right.
does not about do it. Tate's got stories.
No,
Go.
I've got stories,
All right.
and we also haven't hit the hour mark. We gotta at least hit that.
Okay.
Um, this past week I played God of War 2018.
Oh
God of
man,
War
the
4.
big guy with all the white makeup and the red design,
What?
big
It's not.
axe.
It's not makeup. Let me tell you
I
that
know
right
it's
now.
not.
He's not the Joker, baby. I'm the Joker, baby. He's not that. No, you know what? Those are the ashes of all the people he's killed.
What
Yes,
on his body? That's why he's like.
that's why he's white. It's the ashes of all the people he's killed.
I'm so confused.
Okay, so I played the God of War franchise. I played 1 through 3. They're great games, don't get me wrong. All the God of War games. But then when God of War 4 came out, I don't know why I didn't pick it up, but I didn't. And then it was free on PlayStation Now, so I was like, okay, cool. So now's my chance to play it.
Oh yeah, dude, I just got Last of Us for free.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I gotta
So
play that.
I load up the game. And initially we're in a snow-covered area, and I say, "This isn't Greece. It doesn't snow in Greece. Not even in northern Greece, right?" So I keep playing through the game. And then his kid, Atreus, which is a Greek name, right? So I'm thinking we're still in Greece. Starts yelling, "Draugr! There's Draugr everywhere!" And now Draugr is essentially a Norse zombie, right? And I'm a huge Norse mythology guy. I have a family lineage that tracks down that. I have an ancestor who was a Viking war chief who has like 300 confirmed kills, which is insane, right? And the reason we only know that is because we found tally marks on relics of his. Isn't that insane though? For 1,000 years, stuff was passed through the family. Isn't that crazy, Ross? For 1,000 years, they kept that legacy. That is nuts. That is insane. But
Yeah.
anyway, super into Norse mythology. So I start playing. I start playing the game, and I start realizing, oh my god, this is a Norse mythological game, right? Then I'm like, we must be in Midgard. Like we have to be, right? And Midgard is just Earth, right? For anybody
Right.
wondering. We keep playing through the game, and then we see a massive Jotun or a Jotun. A Jotun is a troll, right? So we fight a Jotun, and I was like, holy crap, this is just a Norse mythology game. So then I start regretting the fact that I haven't played this game, right? Because it came out last year around this time. So I'm super pissed at myself for not playing it. But anyway, you know what? I was expecting a fourth Greek game. The God of War games were never my favorite, right? But this one is incredible. The Norse mythology really makes me enjoy the game. I have it set to the hardest difficulty, and it's unfair. It's really unfair. So I'm kind of really slowly getting through the game because of how unfair it is. But I think I'm towards the end. I mean, I must be. I probably have like 20 hours or so in the past 2 weeks. But it's great. It's really great. If you guys have a PlayStation Now subscription, I'd recommend downloading it. It's
So are we
incredible.
talking about we're talking about the most recent God of War, right?
Yes, I had no idea it was a Norse mythology game, dude. I thought it was Greek mythology, like the rest of the franchise.
Yeah, man. I mean, so question: do you think it deserved Game of the Year over Red Dead?
Yes, absolutely over Red Dead.
Really? What?
Well, no.
That's
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ross. So I loved Red Dead, right? But
Yeah.
when I look at it from the eyes of the average player, if I played the game like an average player, I would not have enjoyed Red Dead. Because I don't like the missions at all. I'm sorry. I've been thinking about Red Dead over the course of the past year. I do not like the missions. They're very boring in my opinion. They're not very stimulating. It's go to a place and shoot. The nuances in the world, why I love Red Dead, right? Being able to go in and hunt, the deep hunting system it has, and the deep world building and going into the civilizations, and each pub is different. That's great. But when it comes to the game, the missions, it doesn't do it for me.
Nobody let this deter you from playing Red Dead 2. Please
play Red Dead 2. And that's not to say God of War deserved Game of the Year last year, because I'm starting to see some glaring things wrong with God of War. So let's talk the negatives on it, because I've talked the positives. The side missions are not fun. They're really lame. They're just lame. There's a really distinct difficulty spike. And, of course, I'm playing on the hardest difficulty, so I thought it might have been because of that. Nope, I looked it up. There's a big difficulty spike for everyone. It has open world aspects, but the open world is so linear that it's like the Tomb Raider games published by Square Enix, made by Crystal Dynamics. And those Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider games, they have collectibles and stuff scattered throughout the land, but they're on a track, right? It's not an open world game like Red Dead or like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you can kind of go in any direction.
Intentionally find everything.
What's up?
Where you have to like intentionally go out and find everything.
Not even where you have to intentionally, but like let's say you're on a road and there's little tangents off the road as opposed to being in an open field, right? And I do not like that style of open world game where like you can see a vast field in front of you, but you can't jump down to it and explore it. That's frustrating to me. Like imagine Red Dead Redemption, where each like mountain path you had to stick on the mountain path. You couldn't go off the side because there are invisible walls everywhere in God of War.
Really, that sucks.
Yeah, and that's a preference thing, of course. And they do a really good job of kind of giving you the illusion that you can't jump that far. But then I'm playing the game and I'm like, I'm the God of War. I am literally the God of War. Why can I not jump down this mountainside?
When invisible walls don't give a crap, man.
Exactly. And then there's like certain situations where you have to do puzzles to climb up something. It's like he climbed. So in the second game or the third game, he climbs a Titan, claws his way up the thing. It's like, but I can't scale a 10-foot rock wall. And this is just a play.
I think the solution to this is like something like I know Far Cry 4. I'm pretty sure has invisible walls, but it's like playing Far Cry 4. Because you're in the Himalayas, there are mountains everywhere in the distance. So you almost don't always even want to climb the mountains, or if you can't, it's not a big deal. But it's an organic thing, right? There are organic barriers to the world. It's not keep walking and then suddenly you get stopped by an invisible barrier and you can't go any further. It's just there are mountains everywhere when you try to reach the borders.
Oh, and I do want to add, Ross, it's not like there's a field in front of you and like it's on the same level. No, there are walls.
I get what you're saying.
There are breaks.
I know it's not like that intrusive on the gameplay, and it's not like it's not like you walk up to a big wide open field and you just can't keep. I get that, but I'm just saying when it comes to creating borders for large free roam worlds. I think if game devs could do more of natural land formations and mountains and different like that would make sense.
And I will say God of War does it well, but I do not like open world games as much as I like linear stories. Like Last of Us, Uncharted, those are some of my favorite games. God of War, if you just play it like a linear game, it's great, and that's kind of how I'm playing it. But as soon as you get to the exploring, it feels like you're just right there. You know what I mean? You're almost into an open world game, but not quite. And it's one of those things where it's not a deal breaker for me at all. I just would have preferred it if it was completely linear. It's not a bad thing. It's like I said, it's like the Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider games where you can go back to old areas and explore. Right? It's fun. It's fun. But
actually, no, you can do that with those games.
You can, yeah. It's pretty cool. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a great game. I think God of War does deserve Game of the Year. I know I just said it doesn't. I don't know what else to compare it to because it's better than Spider-Man. It's better than Red Dead, in my opinion. So I guess it does deserve Game of the Year, I suppose. Honestly, I would have given it to Smash Brothers if I'm being honest, and I don't even like it that much. It's just such a culturally relevant game.
Yeah.
But dude, God of War, Ross,
you try it myself.
You should play God of War, dude. And honestly, I'd recommend getting a PlayStation Now subscription. They dropped it down to $60, Ross. You get to download God of War, and you either pay $60 for God of War, or you pay $60 for a year-long PlayStation Now subscription and get God of War alongside a bunch of other games.
So isn't that a monthly fee?
No, it's $60 for 1 year.
That's not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's wasn't it like 100 something?
It was $100 for a year, and then they just dropped the price recently.
Why was that? Is that just like a discount going on?
No, I think they did it because it wasn't doing as well as they thought it would. And I think, dude, $100 a year for all the games you got, I mean, that's incredible. You get like all the Metal Gear games, you get all of the Arkham games, you get a lot of the Final Fantasies, a lot of the Resident Evils. It's a great deal for $100, but for 60, it's a no brainer, especially with God of War being on there. I will
Yeah,
say,
dropping it $40 like that it's certainly got my attention.
right. God of War is on a timed, it's kind of a timed thing, kind of like how Netflix does it. It's only going to be on there until the end of the year, I believe.
Not bad, man.
So dude, but still, I mean, $60 for the year-long subscription, you're getting all the Arkham games that you could play, Ross, and the Resident Evil games, which are incredible.
Now let me ask you this, because I remember when I used my free trial and we played some games. Is it taxing on the experience and the graphics? Like, I mean,
No, so we were playing
lag?
PlayStation 3 games. That's why the graphics were so bad, Ross.
Okay.
We were streaming PlayStation 3 games. God of War, you do the full 80 gigabyte download or 60 gigabyte download, however big the download is.
Gotcha.
And like, let's say you canceled your subscription, it would just lock you out of your download. But it's exactly almost all the PlayStation 4 games that are downloadable. You're getting the full experience, but you can also stream them, and then that takes a little bit off the experience, right? Because they are taxing games, but not much. Like, I streamed God of War before I downloaded it just because I wanted to see the difference, and it's noticeable, but it's not deal breaking. But like I said, dude, all the PlayStation 4 games you can download right there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would love to play God of War. It's just like they're adding so many great things to Battlefront 2 right now, and I cannot help but constantly indulge in that Clone Wars experience that we've been given by DICE, and not just that, but I mean they're also. I mean, now I've got The Last of Us for free because that went up, and I definitely want to play that this year. And now we've got the Modern Warfare, reboot coming out in a couple of weeks, which I'm just playing the campaign for. I can't see myself being an active part of that multiplayer. I really can't. I didn't enjoy that beta. And it's really not why I fell in love with the Modern Warfare series in the first place. It just all felt very shallow and very empty. It was just like, it felt like half of 2009's package, just with better graphics. It was a very odd experience, man. And then we got Fallen Order, which I finally just got a reserve down on, and it's like I don't know where I should put God of War in my list of games.
Put Last of Us at the top of your list, Ross. I mean, that's a necessity.
Yeah. But I also want to play Last of Us like relatively close to Last of Us 2.
I would recommend, honestly, dude, especially because it's winter. I mean, this is the perfect time to play God of War. I hate to say I'm not a fan of the old God of War games, but they weren't like Metroid or like Metal Gear for me, right? I had played them, I had enjoyed them, and then I let them kind of pass me by. But this new God of War game, dude, oh my god. It's good. It's really good. It's fun. And I bet you on the lower difficulties it's fair. On the max difficulty, I think it's called impossible. It's not fair. Like, there are a couple of challenges. Like, this is where the open world comes in. There are a couple of challenges that you can do kind of whenever you want to. And after I beat the game, I might lower my difficulty to do said challenges. Because, oh my god, it's ridiculous how hard the game is.
Yeah.
But you know what, dude? I am so impressed. Because the Greek mythology, they did really well. Norse mythology is surrounded by this shadow of, especially because of the Marvel movies and the comics, this shadow of misconceptions, and there are so many things that are contradictory in Norse mythologies, because so Norse mythology is anything from that region of the world, right? And there are so many contradictions. Fenrir is the son of Loki, who was turned into a wolf in some, but Fenrir is also a female who was beautiful that was turned into a wolf because of anger and distaste towards her, right? The Jotun that protects the bridge of hell of Helheim, and a lot is a female, right? A female, but in God of War and in other places, it was a male that was raised in Helheim. So it's really, because of the fact that Norse mythology has so many misconceptions and so many things, I think this game is so refreshing because it's just another take, right? You have Mimir, the god of wisdom in the game,
So is the whole story like that, where they make changes to Norse, like the original mythology?
they don't make that many changes. They just use Norse mythology pieces from all of it. And dude, it is the most accurate, not the most accurate, but the most, no, I would say accurate, the most accurate depiction of true Norse mythology in any media outside of history books. I read a lot of Norse mythology, dude, a lot. I read a lot of Scandinavian history and Scottish history. And
It's taking like the Norse mythology and sort of making it real. It's kind of like a
exactly. So all of
yeah.
the movies, the comic, Marvel comics and Marvel, they don't do it justice. This really does feel like I'm looking at Norse mythology, not something inspired by it, if that makes sense. This does not feel inspired by. They're taking direct accounts, things that I know about, right? Things that I'm familiar with. So you have Jotunheim, right, the realm of the giants, and you have. Do they go to Jotunheim in the Thor movie, or do they go to
In the
Niflheim?
first one, yeah, it's all about you go to Jotunheim in the intro and they're giants. And
Okay, so where they should have gone is Nilheim, because Nilheim is the frost dimension, right? Or the frost realm, and that's where the frost giants live. Jotunheim is the realm of the
they definitely changed
giants.
that around.
What's up?
Marvel definitely changed that around down.
Oh yeah, definitely. So the frost giants live in Nilfheim. The fire giants like Surtur live in Mispilfheim, and then the giants, the good giants, live in Jotunheim, and that's just a race of people, right? And to see that directly on the game, right? Accurate depictions. Hell being a frozen wasteland. Helheim being a frozen wasteland. Um, Alheim being the realm of the elves. It's really, really nice. It's really nice to see that. I really enjoyed the game. I really enjoy. I mean, my favorite part of the game is, of course, the tones they're taking from these mythologies. But
How long does the game run?
it's so I checked games to beat or howlongtobeat.com, and it says 20 hours. I'm playing on a higher difficulty, so that brings it up to 25, 30 hours. And then if you want 100% it, it's like 60 hours, which is long.
Gotcha.
I don't 100% games that take over like 20 hours to 100%. Like I 100%ed Spider-Man because it's a small game. All things considered.
How long does Red Dead take to 100% approximately?
Like 100 hours, I think.
Mm. And that's just straight gameplay, not even like.
And that's also focused, right? That's focused.
Right. That's nuts, man. Yeah, I mean, I have never really been drawn to the God of War series, but you're definitely getting me somewhere.
This is by far the best God of War game. Like I just said, dude, I never loved them. I've never been a huge fan of Mediterranean mythology as well. Being such a fan of Norse mythology, even taking that aside, mechanically this is the best game. It is the most fun. You feel the most badass. The enemy types are great as well. They really keep you on your toes. It kind of crawls in terms of the mini bosses. Like there's some really strong ones. Like the Valkyries are really fun to fight against. But you fight against Jotuns a lot, right? Jotuns a lot, which are trolls. You fight against trolls a lot. But honestly, dude, it's really, really entertaining. And the game opens up with an insane boss fight that, at least on impossible difficulty, took me like an hour to beat, which was insane. I mean, gnarly boss fight. It's great. That's how, if a game is called God of War, I want to open the game and fight another boss. And that is exactly what you get here. It's great.
Yeah, and I bet like playing on max difficulty definitely kind of adds something to the experience of making it really feel like you're fighting gods, right? Where it's not just. I mean, because listen, man, games like Halo or really any other franchise that really holds your hand on basic difficulties almost feel like extended QuickTime events.
Yes.
And I think by playing God of War, I think that if there's one game to play max difficulty on, that would make sense for it to be that.
So, this game you don't fight as many gods as in the first three God of War games.
Well, even so.
And I just want to say, in the first three God of War games, you fight the Greek pantheon. It's insane. I mean, every level there's a boss fight at the end where you kill a god. And that game, oh my god. In this game, you feel more like a mortal man. I will say that. And it's kind of jarring it's kind of jarring noting his backstory, but he's substantially weaker in this game. You're fighting like your bosses and mini bosses are more so the Jotuns, the trolls, the ogres, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But let me tell you, dude, even oh my god, the combat is so entertaining in max difficulty, especially I'd say, because every swing of your axe and every swing, oh, that's a spoiler. Never mind, I'm not gonna say, it, but every swing of your axe, you feel weight. In the first three God of War games, you're throwing around the Chaos Blades like they're nothing, like they're tennis balls that have strings tied to them, right? The axe has weight, dude. You tear into enemies, you chop things in half. It is insane.
Is God of War a gory game?
It's gory, but there's no blood because all of the enemies are reanimated corpses, so they spew out like orange goo.
Weird.
It's not it's not unsettling though. I'll say that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's really fun. It did deserve Game of the Year, I think. I would definitely say, yeah. Looking at last year, the games weren't that great. Like this year, the games are incredible. Right. Last year, you have Red Dead, God of War, and Spider-Man.
Right.
So, this year,
did you enjoy Spider-Man more than God of War?
Spider-Man, no, I did not enjoy it more than God of War.
Really?
I thought Spider-Man was really handholdy, and I played that on max difficulty.
Really what?
Really handholdy.
Yeah.
And I played that. I mean, Ross, I 100% of that game in 2 sittings, and I played it on max difficulty. But Spider-Man PS4 is great. I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Spider-Man PS4 on max difficulty in 2 sittings. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, remember? I think I did it. I had done it. Yeah, because it was back when I was in the wheelchair, right? So I didn't have much to do during the days. But I played it one day and I was like, "Hey Ross, this game's really good." And he's like, "What part are you at?" And I was like, "What?" I was at like the Electro boss or the Rhino boss fight, and he's like, "What the heck?" And then I finished the game, 100%ed it right there.
Do you mean you finished the story?
No, dude, I collected all the collectibles, did all the Taskmaster challenges.
Hey, I still don't have 100% on my main save. Like, there's one little encounter in one of the sections of Manhattan that I've never been able to get. Quick time, like vehicle chases or whatever. That's crazy.
A Batman version of Spider-Man PS4, Tim Sargent. That's the Arkham games. The Arkham franchise is that.
I'll be honest, yeah. After playing Spider-Man PS4, I'm definitely tempted to finally get into the series.
Okay, Ross. Then PlayStation Now is the way to go. You have all 4 games on there.
Really? All
4 of them.
Damn.
Yeah. No, PlayStation Now.
It's sounding more convincing now.
Yeah, no, PlayStation Now is great. You have all 4 Arkham games. I think you have all the Resident Evil games except for 7 and the 2 remaster. You have.
I gotta get a better TV though, Tate. I had these tiny little TVs like since 2012, and I like I've told you, I know I've missed out on so much visually because of it.
Perhaps. But yeah, God of War. If I'm gonna pit it against another game, honestly, the game that comes to mind the most is like the Lara Croft Tomb Raider games made by Crystal Dynamics. Those games analog to it really well. In terms of visuals, though, I mean, this game's almost unmatched, dude. The visuals are incredible. I mean, I feel like I'm in Midgard. I feel like I'm in Alheim. I feel like I'm in Muspelheim. I feel like I'm in these places. It's incredible.
Damn, dude.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out and maybe get that subscription for the PS Now.
Yeah, dude, I'd recommend it. Simon asks if we could talk about Spider-Man. You want to talk about Spider-Man, dude?
Which Spider-Man?
Spider-Man PS4.
Oh. Yeah, well, I mean, I've basically played through Spider-Man PS4 twice. I did not play it on maximum difficulty, but it was the reason I got a PS4 in the first place. I was going to get a PS4 back in 2016 for Uncharted 4, but instead I held off and watched a walkthrough. But 2 years later, when Insomniac came out with Spider-Man PS4, I couldn't wait. I was just seeing too much amazing material and content coming from what looked like the greatest Spider-Man experience of all time on Twitter, Instagram, and all those places. And so I was like, I got to get a PS4 ASAP. Not Christmas or, I got to do this like as soon. And so a month later, I got a PS4. Managed to pull it off. And it was because Red Dead 2 was coming out, and so I got the bundle. And still a nice dent on the wallet, but it was so worth it because Red Dead 2 and Spider-Man PS4 wound up becoming two of my favorite games of all time. And the amount of fun Spider-Man PS4 offers in such a definitive Spider-Man experience is unbelievable. It is
Definitive's the
again
best word for it.
it's one of those things you have to experience yourself. There's just so much detail in the game, so much passion in all of the little things that really I don't see a lot of in other games all the time. And so that's why Spider-Man PS4 was such an outlier to me, not because the gameplay running through the campaign was super fun the first time. It gets very repetitive in the city after, but you really couldn't ask for much more out of this initial game in the series. I mean, I just love Insomniac's take on Spider-Man, on the characters, the realism they add to it, the detail in every sequence. I mean, the writing is fairly solid the whole way through.
Oh, the
I
writing's
mean,
pretty good. The character relationships are pretty nice. I think.
yeah. I mean, it delivered on so many levels. I just never thought we would get a Spider-Man game like this so soon. And I still find myself just when I want to take time away from something, I don't want to be doing anything or play an action-heavy game, or I will literally just boot out Spider-Man PS4 and swing through Manhattan. It is just the most satisfying thing to do, even to this day. It is so great, and it took them like what a year to get the web swinging down.
Specifically the web swinging. Isn't that insane?
Yeah. I mean, that's like Spider-Verse stuff where it took a year just to get a snippet of the animation in place that they were satisfied with before they started working on the entire movie. I mean, when that level of passion is inserted into Spider-Man stories, whether it's Spider-Man PS4 or Into the Spider-Verse, it creates a connection between those who make it and the audience that you don't get with the movies necessarily. And I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way. Probably, usually I'm the one with the unpopular opinions. But there is just something so satisfying about Spider-Man PS4 that I felt like I got fighting every villain, playing through the story, interacting with the characters when the graphics are so incredible and all the takes on the characters are so consistently good that I really feel like I never got from Raimi's trilogy, especially the new MCU films with Tom Holland. I never felt like something was missing when playing through Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah, it's such a solid Spider-Man experience. I mean, you with Spider-Man PS4, you have the adult Peter Parker, right? And I think that was a great choice. You just deal with him being Spider-Man in the game. You have adult Peter Parker. You have the mentor relationship that's so great about the Raimi films, right? And that's a big thing, Ross. I know you appreciate is the Spider-Man Green Goblin relationship because they're directly in line with each other. So you have that with Otto Octavius, and then you have the great Aunt May stuff with her being how do you word it, a community leader in a way. She's fighting this battle on the ground while he's fighting it up, swinging from building to building. It's just such a great. It lays out our characters so well, and it makes them really, really great. The only thing that threw me off was the Silver Sable stuff that happens, what is it, 3/4 through the game?
I agree with that. If there was one thing that I would pull from Spider-Man PS4 and put it into the next game or the third game, it would be Silver Sable and
Takedown of Manhattan.
yeah, it would be all that stuff, man, because that did not feel like. And the thing is, we're picking up with Spider-Man, what, 8 years into his career, being Spider-Man, and he's adult Spider-Man now. He's well and clear out of even college. So I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, well, I don't want this in the first game because this is the beginning, but it's not the beginning for him, right? So it actually makes sense in the timeline.
But at the same time, it makes sense in the timeline, but at the same time, it doesn't. Like, seeing all these guys in Manhattan felt weird. There's so many other ways to do it.
It feels like that whole organization is something like that they would show up when maybe the Sinister Six fully assembles and really starts wreaking havoc on the city, which of course they do, but it's only they show up in but they show up. Sable, Saber International, they show up so early. in the story, which I think was probably what made it a bit more weird. If they showed up at the very, very end when things got really serious, I feel like that would have made more sense.
Yeah, and they're a private military organization, right? But you think that there'd be some sort of government sanction, right? There'd be some sort of government anything, as opposed to Harry Osborn just saying, not Harry Osborn, my bad, Norman Osborn just saying, oh, we need security in New York City. And it didn't make any sense to me. I really felt like it was weird and out of place. I think they should have had more. I think they should have had the cops turn against Spider-Man. That's what I think they should have done. You can have the higher powered enemies because they turn away from him. I think that would have been great.
I feel like that would be a crazy and weird experience playing as Spider-Man
Beating
and
up
cops.
cops. I think that's why they went with the Silver Sable stuff.
Yeah, I don't know that they would ever do that.
But still, it was just there are ways to do it. They could have done an Arkham Knight or Arkham City situation where the enemies now control the streets, and that's how you get the higher level enemies. They could have done a lot of things, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Arkham Knight, I mean, they literally just first reveal trailer with Scarecrow saying, "Everybody get out! I'm going to gas the city."
Right, and he does,
and that's why there are no civilians.
Right.
That's
With Arkham Knight, it's so weird because there are civilians in the first part of the game. It's strange, dude. Arkham City does it a lot better. Arkham City is a better game than Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight's still good though. I don't know why people complain about it so much. I really like Arkham Knight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to finally playing it properly myself now. I mean, I was never really a single player guy until a few years ago, and so I wasn't really ready to play or have an experience like Arkham Knight when it came out. I was still kind of exiting that format that I've been following, mostly playing multiplayer titles. I kind of finally eased off of multiplayer, I would say in 2016. And so Arkham Knight kind of came out at the end of that phase for me in my teenage years. So I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully playing them myself soon. But again, Last of Us has got to be first, like you said, probably. So many great games to play, man.
Honestly,
so many things
to make. Push it back until the next game comes out, because that sounds pretty good to me.
Push what's back? What?
Last of Us until the Last of Us.
Yeah, I think it would make sense to play it in like the beginning of February or something.
Yeah. Oh man, the PlayStation 5 needs to come out because my PlayStation just doesn't work. I've had my PlayStation since the Pro came out in like 2015, whenever it was, 2016 maybe. And dude, I'd love to have a PlayStation 5. I really hope they fix all the menu lag because it's really annoying.
Fix all the what?
Menu lag. Like, have you noticed when you join parties and stuff, your entire thing chugs?
Yeah. Like the UI for PS4 is way better than Xbox One, as you know, Tate. Xbox One's UI for the dashboard is trash and garbage. But yeah, the one problem with PS4's dashboard is the delay. Like the one thing about Xbox One, or at least the 360 back in the day, you needed to stop real quick in the middle of the game, join a quick party. You could do that, get right back in. PS4, man, you better be ready to commit for 30 seconds.
You hear that shadum, and then you have to wait 10 seconds, and then you have to wait 20 seconds. And then, like, what happened? So before the podcast, we were trying to set up a PlayStation party because sometimes it works better. And I was sitting there for like 2 minutes. I was like, "Can you please just work?" So I had to hard reboot my PlayStation.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, so guys, what Tate's referencing is we have audio problems with Discord or with our Wi-Fi or whatever, to where even though it sounds like we're having conversations in some of the episodes, or at least I can't hear Tate.
And I can't.
Considerably and a lot, and entire sentences of his will just be cut, and I'll have to kind of make it up as I go along. And so what we try to do sometimes when it gets really bad, so like last week it was awful, and then hard. This week we were like, okay, we're gonna boot up PS4 party, and I'll have my headset on, and we'll just mute our computers and keep the mics on, and then just talk and hear ourselves through PS4 party. And every time we try it, we just get errors, nothing loads, nothing works. But whatever, we just play casually. We hop on GTA, we hop on Battlefront, no problem, barely an inconvenience. But the second we try to use that party system and make it enhance the podcast experience, nope, we get errors, and we start a few minutes late, as you might have noticed.
Yep. It sucks.
Yeah. But thankfully, we've been good this whole episode, and
no real bad cutouts.
Thank you, God.
Right. Yeah, no. We said this in episode 26 that we wanted to get the name sorted out before episode 30. We're still working on it. We really now the big thing I want to say, and Ross, I know you feel similarly, is that like it was the last thing we list in our intro, or Ross lists in the intro, and it's just not the focus of this. Pop culture, and I think we should even talk about our lives a little bit more, like we did in this last segment. There are a lot of topics we can cover, and I think having a more general name would be kind of nice. And Ross, I know you feel similarly, so we're still working on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we started the podcast back in the beginning of the year because we just wanted to get it going. There's just so much happening in 2019, and we really want a place to come every week and hang out with you guys and discuss things. And it's been really great, and we're going to keep going into the foreseeable future. It's just we need to restructure and come up with a name. And so that is what Tate and I are trying to do. We're hoping to have a name by next week. We will see. We were hoping to have it by episode 30. Just crazy that we're even saying that now. I mean, my God.
Episode 30, dude. We've been doing this podcast for over half a year.
Yeah.
Dude, would we ever consider having film theory? Of course, dude. If MatPat would agree to come on this podcast, that would be incredible. I mean, I know people.
We'd be open to having a lot of guests on, sure.
Dude, I know people don't like game theory that much. I don't have a problem with it. I like some of the videos. I dislike the others. That's how all content should be. But, dude, MatPat seems like a pretty cool guy. I'm not going to lie. He seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, man.
Yeah.
Be a cool guy to talk to. But
for sure.
We have 1,000 subscribers. He has 10 million. So just put that.
Kind of seems like one of the nicest guys on the planet,
Yeah.
Like I'm sure he's a great guy to talk to. That'd be cool. But
yeah, dude, content aside, like just him as a person, what you can infer from his videos, yeah.
But anyway, I think on that note, I'm going to head out and head over to my storage unit actually and start tearing some things apart. I'm finally starting to organize a little bit and sell off some unnecessary stuff in the collection. So,
cool. All right.
Yeah. All right.
There we go.
Good stuff. Episode 29. Thanks for hanging around, guys. Hanging out, guys. And appreciate you all being here. It's been a great time, as always. We've got Nicola here, Tim Sargent, Lego Tube, Simon, all of you guys, and everybody before. Thank you for dropping in, and we'll see you next week.
Remember, guys, we live in a society. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye.